Luka gets traded to the Lakers. AD is on the Mavericks. Somehow Danny Ainge and the Jazz had his little dirty fingers involved in this somehow. This is absurd.
I think the most shocking thing, Karter, as you mentioned it, you said this is the most shocking NBA trade maybe ever, and I think it's because there was no foreplay to this. There's no rumblings. There was no public trade request. Usually when something like this happens, it's in the works for weeks. Somebody asks out. Very clearly there's a problem in the situation they're in. With this, there was nothing. There was no rumblings, and to involve the Lakers, number one, and to involve a top 5 player in the league, Luka Doncic, too, that's what makes it so surprising. And we touched on it before the show. When's the last time you felt this way about a piece of NBA news? Durant to the Warriors on July 4th, 2016. LeBron to the Lakers. But this is 10 times bigger than like Towns to the Knicks.
Yeah, the Towns to the Knicks, the big Gobert trade. The only thing about the Gobert trade was you're like, wait, they got what now? That's what surprised you about that. But it's like KD signing with the Warriors, but LeBron going to the Lakers, leaving Cleveland, the decision had all this buildup and everything, but all that was almost all free agency. And Melo had made it clear he wanted out of Denver when he went to the Knicks. The Chris Paul fiasco of David Stern blocking the trade, that was one that was one crazy NBA news stories. Like all that stuff is there, but this just doesn't happen, Connor. This doesn't happen. And when you look at the trade on paper, you go, okay, Lakers receive Luka Doncic, Maxi Kleber, Markieff Morris. The Mavs get Anthony Davis, Max Christie, a 2029 Lakers first-round pick. Jazz get Jalen Hood-Schifino, 2025 Clippers second, 2025's Mavs second. Danny Ainge somehow gets in this trade once again. You look at it and you go, AD is going to the Mavericks. The Mavericks have Derek Lively, Daniel Gafford, and now Anthony Davis. No Luka in there now. Not really great wings in Dallas right now. So clearly, this is setting up for a bigger trade, right? This has to be setting up for Jimmy Butler, Kevin Durant. There has to be another domino here.
I'm going to be honest, Karter. I don't think so. I think this boils down to Luka dropping hints to the Mavericks organization, to GM Nico Harrison, saying, I'm not going to re-sign this summer on a Supermax extension. I'm not going to do it. Or, you might as well trade me now, get rid of me. I don't even know if he said that, but it seems like that had to have been hinted at, that he wasn't going to be there for the foreseeable future. And if you're the Mavs, I think that's why they did this. This has to be the reason why they did it. Because if you lose Luka Doncic for nothing, you are screwed as an organization. So that has to be the explanation. But in an era where there's all these insiders, everything comes out on Twitter, Shams is tweeting everything out, there's team reporters tweeting stuff out, for this to come as a complete surprise to literally everyone, including the players involved, including LeBron, which is shocking, and I actually believe it, I'm shocked. Because there's always rumblings coming out that, Luka said he's not going to re-sign, he's going to request a trade, or, Anthony Davis is unhappy. There was none of that. None of that leading up to this, and that's the most shocking part, is that nobody knew.
That's my thing with all of this is there's so many moving pieces with this. One, first off, it came out that LeBron, AD, and Luka, none of them knew, and they're all stunned, and Luka is apparently the most stunned by it, and can't believe that he's going to the Lakers. But that part doesn't necessarily check out to me, where his agent and himself must have made hints that he wanted out of the Mavericks, and it must have been recent because all these organizations have said this trade was built up in the last few hours kind of thing. The speed of this is what's so weird about this, Connor, because you look at it and you go, it took them 2 hours, 3 hours to all of a sudden make this massive trade. What happened 2-3 hours ago where they said, we have to make this trade right now. Let's go. Let's find a team that's going to be willing to go get Luka. And because the thing is, you think about Luka getting traded. Well, Mikal Bridges went for 5 first-round picks. Rudy Gobert went for a decade of first-round picks. Meanwhile, Luka's only going for AD and a first-round pick. That doesn't necessarily add up.
And the thing is, that's what's most confusing to me, is that if you're the Mavericks, you could go out and make it public and say, we are shopping Luka Doncic. Who wants him? They could have gotten so much more for Luka Doncic. So for them to go straight to Rob Pelinka, straight to the Lakers and say, hey, do you want Luka Doncic? Because everything we've heard so far, it's only been an hour, everything we've heard so far is the Mavericks approached the Lakers and said, do you want Luka Doncic for Anthony Davis? Why would you do that? Why would you go straight there? If you have a guaranteed top 5 player in the league when healthy, and his injury apparently is not that bad. He was about to come back right after the All-Star break. Why do you not publicly shop him? I feel like they could have gotten so much more for Luka Doncic than they did. They didn't get Austin Reeves. They didn't get Dalton Knecht. They didn't get the second first-round pick the Lakers have eligible to be traded. I don't understand what the Mavs' thought process is going straight to the Lakers and not even getting their entire haul of assets. They still could have gotten more from the Lakers. I don't understand the position they're in.
It doesn't the desperation and the speed of this deal. It must have meant Luka's agent was saying, "We're going public with this Sunday morning." Sunday morning.
You think so? But that doesn't seem like a Luka move.
But why else would you be so desperate to make this move right here, right now, and get it done quickly? Wouldn't you want to shop as many offers as possible?
Well, he's eligible for the extension this summer, right? So the trade deadline is in 5 days. So I guess the timing makes a little bit of sense. If it recently came out that said, hey, this summer I'm not re-signing the extension, that becomes big news. Maybe the Mavericks were like, look, we just got to jump on the grenade right now and just get the absolute most we can out of him. Because player-wise, maybe Anthony Davis is the best player you can get for Luka Doncic. If you don't want to do a full tear-down rebuild, 8 first-round picks, I feel like Anthony Davis is probably the highest tier of player that another team would trade. Because you're not trading Jokic, you're not trading Giannis, you're not trading some of the other top 5 guys in the league. Right, exactly. You're not trading Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. So from a player standpoint, Anthony Davis is probably the most they could have gotten back. But from a pick standpoint, from a role player standpoint, they could have gotten so much more. It really feels that way. But I think they wanted to avoid a full tear-down rebuild. And I guess they trust Kyrie to be a number 1 and Anthony Davis to stay healthy. I don't know. I don't know, Carter.
I'm at a loss for words right now. So you're looking at this. The Mavericks, let's talk about this from the Mavericks side, and let's move to the Lakers side after this. The Mavericks starting 5 this season right now, as long as there's no more trades, would be Kyrie, Klay Thompson, PJ Washington, Anthony Davis, and then Gafford Lively. Was this also a thing where AD got tired of playing the 5 and it's like, hey, I finally get to play the 4 now?
He went public with it and said, Lakers trade for a center I liked in 2020 when I was playing beside Dwight and JaVale McGee. But, I think AD plays.
He's dancing.
He is dancing. But AD plays better at the 5. We all see that. He just doesn't want to do it, is the thing. And from a Mavs standpoint, what are you doing? I understand if Luka wants out, but if you're looking at the next 8 years, Anthony Davis turns 32 in March. Luka's 25. If you're looking at the next 8-10 years, you want Luka Doncic, and that's why the Lakers, I think, won this trade. If you're looking for the next 10 years, I don't know what the Mavericks are doing. There must be another move for the Dallas Mavericks because they have to go all in for the next couple of years. Because Anthony Davis is 32 in March. That's not a 10-year plan.
Yeah, absolutely. And then all of a sudden, look, LeBron has 2 years left, 3 years left in LA, and then
I say 2 max.
Yeah, 2 max. Let's go with that. The Lakers were in doomsday. Both teams in LA were like, oh my gosh, what are we going to look like in 3 years from now? This is going to be an absolute disaster. The Lakers getting out of this one with somehow a top 5 player in this league and a player who's going to eventually be the MVP of this league one day. And he's only 25 years old. He just played in the finals. He was the best player on a finals team. Single-handedly took a team to the NBA finals.
8 months ago, he was in the finals. 8 months ago, took a team to the finals. And for the Lakers to get...
That's why I don't believe Nico Harrison with the whole Luka is out of shape and the defense and all that stuff. I'm like, he just took you to the finals. You guys won a game in the finals.
That's a bailout answer from Nico Harrison. It's him trying to justify the move because he knew the reaction. He had to know what the reaction was going to be. But for the Lakers, it's like they get handed a get-out-of-jail-free card. Hey, Anthony Davis is on the back half of his career. LeBron's gone in 2 years. This team, as currently constructed, will not win a title in the next couple of years, and you guys are screwed for the future. Oh, wait, here's a top 5 MVP candidate for the next 10, 12 years. I cannot believe they got handed Luka Doncic like that. They got approached with Luka Doncic. When Nico Harrison called Rob Pelinka, I bet he almost fell out of his chair. He's like, wait, what? Like I would pay a lot of money just to be a fly on the wall in that room when the first contact was made and be like, wait, you said who? You said Luka Doncic. I just would pay to see it. Yeah, it's like, oh, you're drunk. It's Saturday night. Go home, Nico. Like, you're real funny.
It's like the kids who were FaceTiming Caleb Williams who said, hey, it's Ben Johnson. Happy to be your new head coach. And turns out that ended up working out.
And that's why you didn't see it with the Towns trade. You didn't even see it with the KD to the Warriors a few years ago. The first gut reaction from every single person on social media, including executives, big people on Twitter, were like, oh, he got hacked. Shams got hacked. This can't be real. But the amount of outrage and shock I've seen from legitimately everyone in the league, incling players, is
every
like,
player.
There was no rumblings.
Giannis, Jalen Brunson, Joel Embiid, they're all tweeting about it right now.
And this is from a Lakers standpoint. This is the first time they've made a non-LeBron centered move since he's been there. This is the first time they've thought about their future post-LeBron era since he's been there, because up until now it's let's trade all our young players, trade all our picks, screw the draft, and let's go all in and win now with LeBron James, which is the right attitude. But I think they finally woke up and said, oh man, Luka Doncic for the next 10, 12 years, screw whatever LeBron thinks. We're not even going to ask him, which is probably the first time that's ever happened in his career. We're going to go all in for our future. And from a basketball standpoint, I think Anthony Davis makes more sense with LeBron James. I think this year alone, that might be a better constructed roster for them to win a title. But moving forward, and don't get me wrong, Luka's a top 5 player in the league. But moving forward, it wasn't, oh, let's pair Luka and LeBron. The Lakers' thought process was, let's get Luka for the next 10 years so we're not screwed post-LeBron era. That's the thought process. And I commend them for doing that. It's about time, honestly. LeBron's 40.
Yeah, I mean, it really feels like, you mentioned this, it really feels like the Lakers were just gifted a get-out-of-jail-free card for leveraging their future for AD and LeBron and giving up all these picks after trying to get these guys in the building and piecing it together. And all of a sudden, they just got handed this golden gift of, hey, here's a top 5 player for the next 10 years. He's going to be on your roster. And, unless he doesn't sign with the Lakers again,
they wouldn't have made the move if he's not going to re-sign with the Lakers. There's no way. And they must have felt, even if they had no contact with him and didn't get that guarantee, they must feel like, all right, there's a 100% chance he re-signs. Because all of a sudden, the Lakers are relevant for the next 10, 12 years now. They're always relevant, but now they're actually in the conversation for the next 10, 12 years. Luka is 25 years old. 25. He's our age. He's in his prime, which is, we can go back to it. Get out of jail free card, handed to them. And this is the first time that they've really said, okay, what are we going to look like post-LeBron era? Let's stop trading all our draft picks. Let's stop trading all our young players. Let's actually look towards the future. And I never could have dreamed that they could have gotten a player of this caliber for that. No. I always thought the move post-LeBron era was, let's blow it up, let's start from the bottom, let's get young talent in and try to build something special. It wasn't, oh my God, let's get a top 5 player and be automatically in the conversation for 10 years.
I can't believe this. And we talked about it during last year when the whole Bronny stuff was going down, that like, hey, he's actually getting drafted and everything. That was clear. That was LeBron's last chess move, it seemed like. That was the last time LeBron finally had leverage and said, hey, draft my son. And he used his last dollar. He's at the roulette table and said, hey, going all in. Here are my chips. I'm walking out.
Yeah, give Bronny a guaranteed contract, and then you don't have to consult me for anything else. And they were like, okay. But the thing is, if you're LeBron, let me ask you this. If you're LeBron, are you mad at this? I understand from a basketball standpoint, Luka and LeBron doesn't make as much sense as LeBron and AD. They lose their defensive anchor, one of the best big men in the league. And who are they going to start now? Jackson Hayes, Jared Vanderbilt, Christian Wood coming back from injury. It makes me think that other first-round pick the Lakers still own will be used to trade for a big man. Right? How do you feel if you're LeBron?
The thing is, it doesn't matter. And like you said, this isn't a move for LeBron, so I don't think you care what LeBron thinks at this point.
But if you are LeBron, does Luka give you a better chance to win this year? This year, does Luka give you a better chance to win than Anthony Davis? Because I'm not so sure it does.
I think it's about the same.
And Luka's a top 5 player, but it's another ball-dominant, heliocentric player that doesn't play defense.
Oh, I know.
You've already got LeBron. You've already got Austin Reeves. How much more can you have?
If the Lakers don't add more pieces, which obviously they're going to in this trade deadline, they have at least 1 to 2 more trades to get more role guys in and big men. Because if you look at the roster right now, this is the worst defense in basketball. I mean, this is Charlotte Bobcats' bad defense. I mean, you could just score. It's like the Wizards, the Hornets, the Nets, and the Lakers. It's the worst defenses in the league at this current moment right now. I mean, it's going to look like the Carolina Tar Heels on defense.
There you go. No, they need to get about 4 guards under 6'4" before they look like them. You're right, though, and I'm not going to come on here and bash the Lakers because I think they won the trade. Just for the future, the Lakers, by far and away, came out better in this trade than the Mavericks did. But just for this season alone, you think LeBron takes possessions off on defense. Have you seen Luka Doncic play defense? Have you seen him take possessions off?
He was taking possessions off in the NBA Finals.
Do you think that changes now that he's in L.A.? Under that pressure with LeBron? I feel like we know who he is.
No, I don't think that's going to change. I don't know how this works out. I'm so curious to see how the chemistry goes between these two guys as well. And you know what the weirdest part is going to be about all this is, like, we're so accustomed. Obviously, we've only seen Luka Doncic in a Mavs jersey. Their next game this week or whatever, or whenever Luka comes back and whenever AD plays next to the Mavs, that's going to be so strange seeing Luka Doncic in a Lakers jersey.
Not a great color for a heavier set white guy. Yellow.
No, no yellow. No, he needs.
He might have gained about 20 pounds. Just for
do
the jersey.
Do you think he requests the All Blacks?
Got to be for the first game. Has to be. All black accessories
too. Brutal color as a fat guy. I mean, you're out there looking like Barney, or yeah,
yeah, exactly.
Or Grimace.
Grimace. Yeah, there you go. From a basketball standpoint, this might be unpopular, and the championship odds have already flipped. Mavs went from like plus 1,800 to plus 4,000. The Lakers dropped to like 9-1. From a basketball standpoint for this year, I'm not sure Luka coming off an injury gives you a better chance to win the finals than Anthony Davis does. Just from a fit standpoint, right? And we've already hit on the future and Luka for the next 10 years, and this was a gold mine of a deal for the Lakers for the future. But just this year or next year, the last couple years of LeBron, I'm not sure this gives them a better chance to win the NBA championship from a fit standpoint.
We need to change subjects. We got to go to We got to do some journalism.
Oh, no.
Jack Meck tweeted out, he said, all right, let's play a game. Which talent agency is Shams represented by? UTA. Which talent agency just bought Clutch Sports? UTA. Who is AD and LeBron represented by? Clutch Sports.
What conclusions are you trying to draw from that, Carter?
Maybe LeBron knew about this trade.
I understand, and the thing is, though, there's always going to be links like that. And I understand reading into it. And normally I would say LeBron has his hands in everything. He's the puppet master throughout his whole career. He has been kind of dictating the front office moves. The late GM is not a myth. It's real. I actually, and I might be stupid, I might be naive, I actually believe he had no clue about this. There's no way he signed off on this, went and played a game in the Garden against the Knicks, gave that post-game interview, and knew this was going to happen. There's no way. There's no way. I will be shocked if it comes out and he knew about it, Carter. There's no way.
I mean, it would never come out at this point because it would never come out.
I guess. It just, this doesn't seem, like we already touched on it, this doesn't seem like a LeBron-led move. This is not a LeBron win now, win me the championship this year move. This is a Lakers, let's think about our future for the next 10 or 12 years. That's what kind of move this is.
Yeah, and the other thing that worried me was whenever the trade happened so fast, is Luka's injury stuff way worse than what people realize? And they said, look, let's get out of town right now. They consulted with a doctor in Germany or something. They were like, dude, he's got like a year left to play. Like, it's not.
Well, that's ironic. You worried about Luka's injury? Go get Anthony Davis.
That's what I'm saying. Like, or is there a gambling scandal? Like, I don't like the quickness of this trade is just so bizarre to me still.
Maybe Adam Silver woke up in a cold sweat and realized the Lakers won't be good in 2 years when LeBron retires, and said, you know what? We got to keep Lakers Celtics going for the next 10 years. Because this might lead Lakers Celtics.
Adam Silver's kind of having a rough run right now. I mean, the 10-minute quarters thing was a brutal job by him.
Yeah, you just shorten the schedule if you're going to change anything.
Shorten
10-minute quarters.
Shorten the schedule and knock out a couple timeouts, and then let's get going.
What do you make of the comments by Mavs GM Nico Harrison? He said after the trade broke, I believe defense wins championships. I believe that getting an all-defensive center and an all-NBA player with a defensive mindset gives us a better chance. We're built to win now and in the future. Does he even believe that? Or is he just trying to justify what he did?
I think it's probably a little bit of both, but I feel like there's also to me, I read that as a very backhanded thing towards Luka, where clearly there was
came out about the conditioning too. So yeah, 100%.
I feel like there's a big rift between them and Luka already, and that is why the only reason this all makes sense is that Luka clearly was not going to re-sign the Supermax and everything, and they'd realized they got to get out ahead of this and get what they can. And look, if it comes out that he was like going to come out and publicly demand a trade and put them in a terrible spot, then they had to make this move. And honestly, if that's the case and they come out with Anthony Davis and a first-round pick, I guess it's not the worst thing in the world. It's just tough when you compare guys like Rudy Gobert and Mikal Bridges. I mean, those two combined were worth 12 first-round picks. Meanwhile, you get AD, who's probably worth 2 or 3 at this point in his career, and then one more first-round pick for a top 5 player in this league. Let's say Giannis is on the trade market right now. How many first-round picks is Giannis going for, Connor? 6? 7?
6
whatever
and 3
the max
swaps.
Is?
Yeah, the max and 3 swaps, whatever you have in the war chest. But that's the thing with the Mavs, Carter, is they didn't want 8 first-round picks. They have Klay Thompson. They have Kyrie Irving. They have a quote, win-now roster. They don't have a roster full of young guys. This team was built to go back to the finals with that in mind. So for them to trade their best player, their franchise player, they don't want to go back and rebuild. So from a player talent standpoint, I feel like Anthony Davis is probably the best player they could have gotten. However, I will say this again because you just brought it up. If you're going to trade Luka Doncic, if you're going to make a move of this magnitude, it cannot be rushed. And it feels like this was rushed. It feels like they went to LA at the 11th hour, Saturday night after midnight, and said, hey, you want Luka Doncic? And it was just like bang, bang, 2 hours, we're done, in and out. You can't rush that. If you're trading a top 5 guy in the league, how do you rush it like that? This feels so just forced together and bandaged up. You got to shop him around. You got to get the best offer. You have to.
That's the issue is, look, even if Luka make him available to other teams and start the craziest bidding war of all time, teams are going to go crazy for him. I mean, you look what Phoenix has done for guys. There's another team out there that would give everything they have to have Luka on their roster. I just don't understand how you don't start a bidding war immediately. And look, it's come out now that other teams did not realize Luka was even remotely available, and the Lakers were the only team that were called right there. Like, how is that okay? The only way that makes sense is Luka came in and said, I'm coming out publicly demanding a trade that I'm leaving the Mavericks and I only want to go play in LA and I only want to go play for the Lakers. But then it doesn't make sense that he was stunned that he went to the Lakers. So therefore, someone has to be lying here. And I feel like I would lean towards that. I don't know. I don't know.
I think the Mavs panicked, and maybe those defensive comments are true. Nico Harrison got on the 2K My GM and was like, oh, man, let's add Anthony Davis for Luka, and let's see what happens. And he sims the season, and they win the title or something on 2K. It just seems like they panicked is really what it seems like. It's like, oh, my God, we're going to lose Luka. Because normally in a situation like this, Carter, I would think that the star demanded a trade and said, hey, I'm only going to the Lakers, and if you trade me somewhere else, I'm going to be public and say I'm not signing an extension. Normally, I would think that. But because this was so out of the blue, out of nowhere, reportedly LeBron, AD, Luka, everyone, executives around the league stunned, I don't believe that. And normally that's the case. Normally the star says, I'm not going to re-sign with anybody except this team, so you better send me there or I'm walking for nothing in 2 years. But that's not the case here. I really don't think that's the case. I legitimately think that the Mavs front office, Nico Harrison, thought, hey, Anthony Davis puts us in a pretty good position to stay competitive this year in the Western Conference for the next couple of years. Let's go get him. But man, I think they got fleeced. Even if Luka had dropped hints that he's not going to re-sign the Supermax, which is probably true, feels like you could have gotten more for the future. Trading Luka Doncic is not a quick fix. That is a franchise resetting move that you have to look yourselves in the mirror and really think about it. Hey, what do the next 10 years look like? And for them to trade him to the Lakers for a guy that turns 32 in March, that's already injury prone on the back half of his career, I don't see it. And I'm sorry, Anthony Davis, I don't see that making the Mavs all of a sudden the top 5 contender in the league all of a sudden.
My other thing, too, is I think their bigs are fine. Lively and Gafford are fine.
Yeah, I agree. So what's the lineup now? AD's been clamoring to play the 4. I don't think you start PJ at the 3. That's the thing.
That's my thing. It feels like Gafford or Lively are on the move. I feel like they have to be on the move because you can't play PJ Washington at the 3 in this lineup.
You know what? If you're going to trade Daniel Gafford, now's the time. He has played the best ball of his career over the last 3 weeks. He has been killing it without Lively in the lineup. So his stock's at an all-time high. So if they want to move somebody, now's probably the time for him. But you're right. I think you're right. Put AD at the 4, sure, but then what do? You still got PJ Washington there, and then I guess you start like a Quentin Grimes or a Najee Marshall, or I don't know what you do, a Spencer Dinwiddie. But that's the thing. Adding AD to the Mavs and taking Luka out does not make me feel any better about them in the playoffs. It makes me feel worse because we saw it last season. 8 months ago, Luka dragged that team to the finals. 8 months ago. And yes, he had support. Kyrie was awesome. But Luka did that 8 months ago. Now you're going to replace him with AD? That whole team was Luka Doncic. We have no idea how it's going to look without Luka Doncic in the playoffs.
We're going to look back at this trade, and you're going to go, Rudy Gobert went for what? Mikal Bridges went for what? Kevin Durant went for that much? And the Lakers got Luka Doncic for a 32-year-old big man that's injury-prone and a 1 first-round pick? That's all they had to give up for him? And Max Christie.
Yeah.
That's all they had to give up for a top 5 player in the league. I mean, this guy's going to win an MVP. He was just in the finals. He's only 25 years old. He's the best. He can be the best player on a title-winning team, Connor. And it went for this little. It's still just not adding up in my head here. There has to be something more to this.